Hello everyone, my name is Arnell and welcome to my channel at Nelly Said What. So I'm making this video because when I start something or if I want to do something, usually the first thing I'll do is go on YouTube and find a review. And so when I was applying to this program last year in the summer, I went on YouTube to go find somebody's review of the program and I didn't really see anything. I saw a few videos, like sponsored videos from the university, but nothing of like just a regular student on their YouTube channel just talking about it. And it could be because of the size of the program. It's a new and smaller program. I think it started in 2019 or 2020, one of the two. So it made sense that there weren't a lot of videos, but that's why I'm here. I want to, give the girlies something to help them judge if they want to join this program or not. So again, thank you for being here. Feel free to what do people say? Like the video, subscribe, leave a comment, click an ad, all the things. So yes, welcome. So last thing, I want to make a disclaimer. This video is in no way sponsored, affiliated with, commissioned by this program or this school. It is just my personal experience and me sharing that with y'all today. It is not to be considered advice of if you should join the program. I'm not claiming that I know all the answers of what the program is. Again, I'm just sharing my experience. So yeah, let's get into it. No more precursors. So the agenda for the day, we're gonna talk about me finding out about the program, me applying in 2 weeks, the program structure, how my year has gone so far, what I've taken, and then getting involved in the student association. So the first thing is finding out about the program. So that part was very serendipitous for me. I was potentially going to be working with a new cannabis startup that kind of just like fell into my lap through, some friends of mine. And it didn't end up working out, but it did lead me to this program. So I was like searching for grants for this company, and along the way I found the University of Maryland, Baltimore, or University of Maryland School of Pharmacy's Medical Cannabis Science and Therapeutics program. So yeah, that's how I found out about it. And I saw like the application deadline, it said like June 15th. And I just kind of like left it in a tab because I have ADHD and I have like 72 tabs open at all times. And so I just left it there and went about my business, continuing to search for other, things for this company. So fast forward to like June, actually. June or July. End of June or first couple days of July. I am hanging out with a friend and I'm on my laptop and I'm just like going through my tabs, either trying to close them because my computer be screaming at me. The fan be whirring real fast. And I open the link and like it refreshes. I see again that it's the last time that the page was open, the deadline was June 15th or something. And then the page refreshes and it says, hey y'all, we've extended the deadline to July 15th or something like that. And I was like, okay, God, you're literally giving me like 2 weeks to turn this application in. So I'm going to turn it in. I'm going to do it because I felt like called, I felt like drawn to the program for many reasons, which I'll get into. So I applied. The application was actually not that bad. It was unofficial transcripts for your last school, your undergraduate career. It was a personal statement, which, okay, look, child. Comment below if you want me to do a video more about applications for grad school, because when I hear the words personal statement, I know this is just ignorance. If I had known better the first time, I would have done better, but shout out to mentors. They said personal, so I got personal. Like my statement was about my personal journey to this program. And then I had my friend who has a doctorate read my application and she said, hey girl, a personal statement can also be known as a statement of purpose. So you need to tell them why the hell you want to be there. And I said, oh, like, and what I'm going to do there, like what my purpose is. I said, oh. So, I mean, it had that in there, but I think just like the nuance of the words I was choosing was a lot more personal and a lot less purpose. So that's just I just wanted to share that for other people who are applying to grad school. And you know, even though it's such a small thing, like it can make your application look novice and juvenile when you're not doing it the way that they've envisioned, even if the words picked don't necessarily match up. But that's academia for you. That's not personal to this program. So yes, so I applied. The application was a statement of purpose or a personal statement, recommendations, unofficial transcripts, and something else. But again, comment below if you want more information about that. So one thing I liked about this program is that it didn't require GREs. And you know, a lot of programs nowadays are kind of being a little bit more lenient on if they're requiring GREs. So it's not like, again, unique to this program, but it was something that I really enjoyed because it allowed me to apply in 2 weeks. Like, it allowed me to see that page refresh and be like, okay, I'm on go time and I know I can do it, because I know that there are people in my life who want me to succeed. I was going through some rough times, and I know that they want me to be able to like launch into something more, what's the word? Productive, fulfilling. So I knew I'd be able to get all that stuff together, but if I had to worry about studying for and scheduling and paying for a test on top of the application fee and all that stuff, like I was gonna psych myself out and I wasn't gonna do it. So I really appreciate that. Let's see. Yeah, so I applied in 2 weeks and I don't even remember when I think I found out mid-August or something. But yeah, I found out really quickly, and I applied so late that I missed a lot of the information sessions and stuff, so I didn't get to do research in that way either. So like coming to YouTube and finding no video, I was like, okay girl, like this is irritating because I can't watch an information session live and I can't watch someone's review. So that was interesting. So yeah, as for the program structure, it's a pretty much 100% on, I'm gonna say pretty much and then 100% like that go together, but it's a overall online program. If you do the graduate certificate version of the program, which is 1 year, then you don't have to come in for symposium, which is an in-person event at the Shady Grove campus where we, you know, get to hear more lectures about medical cannabis. We get to see each other, you know, interact face to face instead of just on like discussion boards and stuff like that. And it's just a good time to get to know your teachers, your school, your peers, you know, that whole zhuzh. So, so yeah, if you're in the graduate certificate program, you only, let me open up the thing so I don't get to lying. You only have to do the first 4 courses of the Medical Cannabis Science and Therapeutics curriculum. So that would be 601, Introduction to Medical Cannabis History, Culture, and Policy. 602, Principles of Drug Action and Cannabinoid Pharmacology. 603, Basic Cannabinoid Chemistry and Drug Delivery. And 604, The Clinical Effects of Medical Cannabis. So like I said, you just take those 4 classes. You don't have to come to symposium. So it's good if you kind of want to like dip your toe into learning about medical and I won't even say dip your toe, because these classes go like in depth while still meeting everyone on average where they're at. And I would say that they do a good job of like making the content still stimulating for those who are in science, because there's stuff about cannabis that you're learning that you might not have known, but not so stimulating that it's out of reach for people who haven't taken like a science class in a really long time. And that's something that I hear from my peers in the program as well. That's not just my experience. So yeah. But yeah, so that's the grad certificate version. Now, if you do the master's, it's 2 years and you go to 4 symposiums, 2 per year, 1 in the fall, 1 in the spring. And the second symposium of your senior year is actually also your graduation. In addition to that, you take the 4 first courses, but then you also take 4 electives, and you take a class on negative physical, psychiatric, and social effects of cannabis, and your 2 medical capstone courses, which I just found out like really truly what the capstone course was, because I was in a student association meeting and they were looking for topics, and I was like, y'all be gatekeeping what the capstone is about, so can y'all talk about that for the next meeting? And they did, so that was really helpful. And I can do a video more on that if you guys would like, so please comment below if you would like that. Yeah, so like I said, for the master's, it's 2 years. You take the 4 first classes plus those 2 classes I mentioned, plus the negative effects and the 2 capstone courses and the 4 electives. So you get to go a little bit more in depth about each thing. Some of the electives are things like, and I'm not going to go into all of them, but some of them, and I'll link I will link the page of the curricular requirements and like application and stuff in the course in the description below, so you guys can follow along with that as you wish. So yeah, so some of the electives are advanced cannabis therapeutics for somatic conditions, medical cannabis advocacy, research design, and medical cannabis, which I think is really cool because like so much of the issues with medical cannabis is the limitations that we have on research around it. So having a course specific to helping researchers design medical cannabis studies is just super exciting to me. I love that. So go off. I love my school. Yeah. And then there's state and federal cannabis laws and policy, which I just took, and that was amazing. Now, I will say, I'm a little bit of like, you know, a rebel. Not really, child. But I knew that I wanted to take 5 elective courses, and they kind of only, the program is structured to have you take 4, but the electives, the state and federal law and policy elective didn't have any prerequisites that I didn't require, so I just signed up for it because it's my money and I need it now. So yeah, I did kind of get a question from one of my advisors about that, and I still need to talk to her about that. But yeah, that was really what I did. Like, I just signed up because the system wouldn't stop me from applying, and I wanted to take it, and I didn't want to get rid of any of the other electives that I wanted to take, like Introduction to Integrative Health and Wellness, which talks about stuff like Ayurvedic medicine and like, you know, alternative medicine, because cannabis is an alternative medicine. Like, it's not, at this point, it's federally illegal. The government has said that it has no medical benefits. And yeah, so it's alternative. So I think it's important to, as cannabis educators and professionals, to have a respect for other alternative medicines, because like, we can't come from this high and mighty place when we ourselves are an alternative medicine, like, girl. Yeah, so, and one last one, just to give y'all, just to round it out, is one that I'm very excited about, which is psychedelic science and therapeutics. So that course just started this spring. I'm not in it, but I hope that the first, you know, cohort had a good time, and I'm excited to take it next year. So yeah, so that's the graduate certificate versus the master's. And again, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I might have like blown through this, and so I can, you know, maybe record a short, like slowing it down, or I could just comment, you know, we'll see. So yeah, the last couple things on the agenda is how my year went so far, what I've taken, and getting involved with MCSA, which is the Student Association. So how my year has gone so far, you know, it's been cute. I've really enjoyed it. Like I said, I was kind of going through life, like I was lifing real hard, and you know, I'll go into it because it actually all connects. So and if you watched the intro on this channel, like I've already spoken about it, but unfortunately my mother passed in 2022. Actually, it'll be 2 years at the end of this month. And she died of stomach cancer. And while our family was very open to like alternative medicine, because we're Caribbean, we were grown up on herbal medicine. Like, when you feel that little tingle in your throat, you make the ginger tea with the lemon and the this and the that, you know, like that's just what we do. So, but we also respected, you know, Western medicine. So she still did chemo. She went to the doctor. She like did everything that she could in that realm. But then we also, you know, fortified things with herbs and food and the way that things, you know, can help our bodies naturally. However, so I had been using cannabis honestly as a medicine since I was like 19 or 20, and I was really struggling in my undergraduate career. Like it was bad. And I had undiagnosed ADHD. It was like a whole bunch of stuff going on. And so I found out, got my diagnosis, and, you know, used regular meds. And when I was talking to my psychiatrist about like how I'd been coping before, I mentioned my cannabis use, and she was like, well, girl, like that's kind of funny because I probably will be prescribing that in a few years if it becomes legal. Like it's the next best, like it's the next thing coming out in the pharma world. So yeah, and to speak to that more, like I would like pay attention to the types of strains I was getting, and like really make sure that the effects that were reported about the strains or what I needed. So I avoided anything that was going to make me lethargic, make me overly hungry, because I didn't have money to be overly hungry, and things that would help like happiness or focus or things like that. So I had been kind of already using cannabis medically without like understanding that that's what I was doing. So fast forward again to my mom's cancer journey and diagnosis, and towards the end of her life, I didn't want to share with my parents that I was smoking or using cannabis in any way, because that was just like a no-no in my house. And so it didn't seem worth it. And I also didn't have the confidence. Like I had heard great things about cannabis and cancer, but I didn't know anyone close enough to really like know like what the tea was. So eventually, again, towards the end of her life, like I had her try an edible because she was really having some struggles with eating. And when I tell you, like, we would sit food in front of her, and it would even just smelling the food would make her nauseous. Like looking at the food would make her nauseous, and then trying to eat it, like she was definitely going to throw up. So that can be a lot on someone when they're trying to heal. You know, healing requires a reduction of stress. Healing requires like, you know, being taken care of, and also your body, like when you put more stress on your body, it's harder to heal. I think that's the better way to say it. So having her feel like that is not going to help her journey. So I finally mustered up the courage to, you know, work it out. And in the time, like they were living in a place that was had medical marijuana, so I signed her for a card, and but I also got her some Delta 8 gummies in the meantime before the card came. And yeah, so she tried the Delta 8 gummy, and she was able to eat. She was able to hold down the food. Her whole demeanor changed. Like everything about it was so crazy. And I felt guilty that I had held on to it for so long because of shame or feeling like I was going to get in trouble, when this was like, if I'd been courageous, like we could have intervened earlier. So, yeah, unfortunately, like I said, she passed, and I was going through it, and I didn't, you know, I just left the job that I had, and I was just looking for something that was gonna give me fulfillment and like not crush me, because I'd spent so much of like my undergrad career being crushed, and I just couldn't, like that plus like, you know, the loss of my mother, it was just too much. So when I see this program, I'm like, this is lit. Like I can, one, validate my my thoughts around the plant. I can have the resources to research the plant in a more in-depth way, have access to those scholarly journals again, by being in school, and, you know, just be able to look at the things that I want to look at, and then have medical cannabis professionals share with me amazing curriculum around the plant, like things that are going to be so vital with us, with the government now deciding to, you know, move forward, or considering putting out little feelers that they're considering making cannabis or weed, cannabis weed, child, with the government showing that they're going to make weed federally legal possibly in the next, you know, few years or so. We need educated cannabis professionals who are going to stop politicians from doing foolishness, like, or at least maybe not stop them, because I don't, you know, it's a little futile, but people who are going to be able to educate patients, adult use users, you know, politicians, policymakers, all that stuff. We need those people. So I was like, you know, I'm at a crossroads in my life, and this is something I care about. This is something that brings me joy. This is something that has helped to heal me. And at one point was, you know, gave my mom a moment of, you know, repose, respite. I don't know the word, but just a moment of calm. And so I was like, God, I feel like, especially with the deadline, like extending just enough time for me to apply, I was like, okay, I hear you. I'm going to do it. So it's been amazing. I have, let's see, what did I take? I took the first class, and get my notes back. I took the first class, which, like I said, is 601, Introduction to Medical Cannabis History, Culture, and Policy. And y'all hear that playing? Hold on. Okay, it's far enough. So yeah, I took, like I said, 601, Introduction to Medical Cannabis History, Culture, and Policy. And this course is kind of like, you know, those stoners to be like mad politically active and know like the whole history around like why prohibition around weed started and all that stuff. That course is like the bread and butter. Like, it's just gonna give you all the quotes that you need to silence people about the lies told about weed in order to stop us from using it. We look at the history of, like, again, like I said, how politics intersects people's thoughts around weed and how it's changed, the people of color that brought it to us. Like, in the very first week, we talk about how it was used in like India, China, Africa, Greece, you know, and how for like thousands of years, and then in the 1800s and 1900s, all of a sudden like Britain knew about it. And that's like kind of when it was put into Western medicine. So but shortly after that, there was prohibition around it. So, you know, let me not say anything that'll get me shut down. But Harry Anslinger, I'm coming for you. No, I'm not. He did, but you know. The next course is 602, Principles of Drug Action and Cannabinoid Pharmacology. I mean, this course, it really made me believe in myself, because if you had told me 2 years ago that I would be taking pharmacology and pharmacokinetics, I would have told you to shut up. I would have told you to suck your mother. And honestly, like, I took this course and it made me so confident as a scientist again. And again, like, it's a class that meets you where you're at. Now, I'm not saying it's not difficult, but I think that it really massaged my brain folds into thinking like a scientist again, which was personally gratifying. And then as a cannabis professional and cannabis educator, it is imperative to understand how it affects your body, because that's what you're basically arguing to people, that if it affects the body in a certain way. And so being able to have the language to speak to clinicians and policymakers about it is imperative. And I think this class really helps you do that. So yeah, the next course, which they kind of like, the next course chronologically in terms of the number is 603. For some reason, they have you take 604 first and then 603. I ain't got nothing to do with that. It's not that big of a deal. It was just surprising. So I have not taken basic cannabinoid chemistry and drug delivery yet. Well, it just started this week. And yeah, so I'm excited to hop into that material. I need to start my homework. But I'm excited to, you know, learn more about that, because I have not taken a chemistry course since, oh, her hair looks so pretty. I love the children's. Anyway, I have not taken a chemistry course since I was like 15. Shout out to Miss McBride. Yeah. So yeah, the last of those 4 courses is 604, the clinical effects of medical cannabis. And just like the other science course, the pharmacology course, it really reinstated my confidence as a scientist. I found that in my undergraduate career, the school that I went to, they would teach you stuff, but they would teach you stuff with a grudge. Like, especially in the science and engineering departments, like they would really be like, dang, I have to explain something to you, and in layman's terms, like, go kick rocks. Like they would really be like, and that's not everybody, but I'm just saying the overall energy was like, oh, you should have came knowing this. And I think that these courses really break down like word for word, like bar for bar. Like it really breaks down each concept and then gives you additional resources that you can dig into yourself. My professor would always attach these videos from a YouTube channel called Sketchy EBM, and it really broke down the evidence-based medicine process and how you can like research things yourself. And one, as a just as somebody who goes to the doctor, I think it's nice to understand how your doctor is going through the research and making decisions about certain things. And I don't think this is like, I would say more so for people who need to advocate for themselves more in the doctor's office. Knowing how evidence-based medicine works is such a good way to advocate for yourself, because your doctor's interpretations of the data is limited by their biases. So if you then go in and do your own research and interpret the data with your biases, you know, instead of theirs, you're gonna get a different perspective that is more close to how you understand things, and then you'll be able to, you know, do what you gotta do in the doctor's room and tell them, no, it's not this, it's this. Now, that might not work for everybody, but I just thought it was something nice. But then again, like I was saying, as a scientist, like being taught directly how to break down a paper and not being left to my own devices about how to interpret a paper is paramount. It's so important. I think it's going to make me a better paper writer in the future when I get back to, you know, constructing research studies and writing, you know, publications about it. And so, like, with that being said, I literally have written a publication or two before, and now I have the confidence to really understand like what I'm doing. And I think, you know, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have space in my schedule for the research class, but if I find a way to make that work, like that will only help me even more. So yeah, that's a pro for those classes. So yeah, those are that's a short overview of, no. Okay. Oh yeah, like I said, I took state and federal law and policies for medical cannabis. Loved that course. Like that course was so high. And I think, again, for advocacy's sake, like when you understand the medical behind it and the clinical, and then you understand the legal and the policy, like no one's coming for you. Like you have an airtight argument. So I really, really enjoyed that class. Yeah, I would take it again if I could, but I'm just joking. No, we're not gonna do all that. So yeah, overall the year went really well. I enjoyed my classes. I think that the professors and the advisors are a lot more open to extensions and late work than like my undergraduate career, which makes it, as someone with ADHD, a lot easier for me to succeed in this program. Now it doesn't mean everything was perfect. Like I still have to reach out for that extension, which again, if you have ADHD, the type that I have, the inattentive type, and the trauma around asking for help that I had through undergrad, it's still hard, but you're not going to be met with like this attitude of like, F you if you ask for something nicely. So, yeah. Let's see, what's the last thing in here? Oh, the symposium. So, we have our second symposium next week. Also, I'm recording this video on St. Patrick's Day, so happy St. Patrick's Day, belated. That's the only reason why I'm wearing green. Yeah, maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, we have our symposium coming up in the spring. And so I've only been to one. I went to the fall symposium and I really liked it because, like I said, you get to see everyone in person, you know, for a day, and we listened to 3 lectures. I loved those lectures. One lecture, and I'm gonna have to just do a separate video because this video is about to be long as hell on symposiums. But one lecture that really touched me was about this mother whose son is autistic. And as you know, autism is a spectrum. So the way that one person's autism presents can be drastically different than the way another person presents. I would say, so he has the type that, and you know, please forgive me if I'm not speaking about this the right way, but he has a type where she described as him essentially being as developed as like a 4-year-old, and he's 36 or something like that, in his 30s. So all of her, you know, the doctors had him on like 10 different medications, which can do, having that many medications, I found out through this program, can do really bad things to your liver, because that's where medications are metabolized and then, like, you know, they go on throughout the body and stuff. So she found that by using cannabis and like tracking the terpenes and the cannabinoids to a T and creating pills for her son, she was able to reduce his medications from like 10 to 15 to like 2 to 3. I mean, that's crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna do a separate video on symposium because the things that those people said was so amazing, and I'd love to review that. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to the spring symposium because we'll be able to hear from 3 more individuals who are going to give us like supplementary, you know, information about this plant that we're so passionate about. And we also had breakout sessions the first time where we broke out into 4 different topics, 2 at a time, and was able to talk to different professionals, a lot of whom had been in the program before or were, you know, just closely related or were important in the field. So they talked to us about the specific topic that, you know, the room was about. So let's see what else. And we also did like a few getting to know each other activities. I will say, like, the symposium being only a day is good because, you know, lodging and travel and all that stuff, like, it can be expensive to have to stay multiple days, but it's a little short. So I think in terms of getting to know your peers, that can't be, like, for me, that is not enough for me to feel connected to a person. And that's where the last topic, the student association, comes in, because by joining the student association, MCSA stands for the Medical Cannabis Student Association, I was able to connect more with like second-year students that I wouldn't have interacted with in class, and other first-year students who, like, again, like, we're on these classes doing discussion boards. Like, I'm not getting to know you through a discussion board, really. So I would say if you want to feel more connected to those in the program, like, joining the student association is definitely a good idea. Now, because this program is 100% online, it's international. And so I have some classmates, like I have this one classmate that I met who's from Mauritius, which is like, let's look it up real quick, but I think it's off the coast of Africa. Yeah, it's a country off the coast of East Africa. And, you know, we be having our meetings at 8 p.m. That's 4 o'clock in the morning for her. So that's not accessible to everybody in terms of being in the meetings. But I still think by joining the committees, like, let's say if she were to join a committee, she would still be able to interact with people if they were, you know, able to make the meeting time for the subcommittee workable for her. So, I mean, that's like, But, you know, for the stateside girlies, we do a lot of East Coast, West Coast, like, mitigation. We try to pick times that will work for both sides. So if you're in the US, I definitely think it's worth signing up for. If you're in a time zone that's completely, like, not feasible, I still think there's ways to get involved, but it is annoying that you can't, you know, participate in the meetings. So yeah, that, you know, life, give and take. And I'm sure that there's things that we can do to help, you know, with that. So maybe that's something I'll try to try to understand in the next symposium, and see if we can help some of those international people feel more connected to the program. But yeah, in MCSA, I am the first year VP of outreach, and the outreach committee basically is supposed to connect our program to companies so that they can know that if they want medical cannabis educators and professionals who are specialized, who know the tea, they can definitely just come to us. Like, no type of, where are the good candidates at? They're right here. They're right here in MCST. So the first year VP, again, is just the first year version of the executive director. So the second year is the executive director of your subcommittee. As first year VP, my approach was basically to observe, see how things are done, really get my footing in how the student association and then my subcommittee work. And then, you know, of course, participate, you know, do my assigned tasks, still explore outside of my assigned tasks. And then I want to reflect in the summer. And then the next year, it's really like go time, like, you know, so yeah, I think it's really cool. I think I've learned a lot. I've learned, things that I didn't even think I would learn. And then I also learned the things that I thought I would learn. So that was cool. But yeah, I definitely love this program. And if you have more questions, hit me up in the comments, and I'll either reach back out to you there, or I'll make a video, or I'll do both. We'll see. So yeah, have a great day. Happy St. Patty's Day. You know, shout out to Green. And I hope this was helpful. Bye.